Hi everybody, it's Michelle. You know, the whole big talk the last couple of days is about the Marsupial. I very nonchalantly posted my card thing last week when I was making cards, and I mentioned that I had this awesome tool, and then the craziness started. I got so many messages on Facebook, so many people asking me about it, and then just by circumstance, the inventor of the tool reached out to me and said, "Oh, thanks so much for highlighting the tool in one of your videos." So since then, I just realized so many people loved the tool when I showed it, but they didn't know where to get it, how to use it, what are the grooves on it. So I promised on Facebook to a number of friends that I would do another video. I thought I was going to do it this weekend coming, but my cameraman, who's on the other side, who's my sweetheart as well, Gary, he was available now when he got home from work. So I said, you know what, let's just do the video now. This way, everyone who wants to order the tool with the coupon code, you know, the discount code, they'll be able to know already how they're going to use the tool. So I'm going to not show my face now because it's all about this. This is what we're going to do. Okay, I want to introduce you to this today, show it to you. I'm not going to use adhesive on anything because I want you to see how I'm applying the layers, and you'll have an idea then when you use it how you're going to apply the layers for different dimensions. All right, so now the question was, how do you know, like people said to me, Michelle, how do you know where you want to lay the paper to make layers? I have to tell you, when I opened the packaging for this, there was no paperwork. And I heard from someone who purchased it recently, they also did not receive any paperwork. There's a label from the company with the product name, but there's nothing that explains anything. They do have a video, but sometimes it is nice to have something in writing. So what I did was I made my little cheat sheet. Okay, this is really durable plastic. So what I did was I had a white Sharpie marker, and I just put the measurements for each of the quadrants on the back. So on this, in this spot, on this side, here it says 1/8. This section is the flip side of that. You can do 1/8 of an inch matting in this section. In this section, if you see the groove here, if you lay your papers here, your cardstock, you're going to be matting in 3/8 of an inch. Down below here in this section, this is like a triple. If you look, you'll see a notch here, a wide layer, a narrow layer. This one is a little more versatile. This measures for a 1/4 inch mat, which is the narrow, as well as a 3/4 inch mat. And then we have, what's the other one I didn't tell you? Over here, the 1/2 inch mat. Okay, now, if you're overwhelmed with math, if math and numbers and fractions are not your thing, this will make you want to jump out the window the first time you use it. But relax, take a breath. I'm going to post a photo of my little cheat sheet on the back. I encourage you when you order yours, because I know there's like hundreds of people that message me and post it on Facebook. They're ordering it this weekend when I put the video code up. So when you order it, treat yourself in the store. Go and get yourself a white Sharpie where it will be permanent on here, and write all the little cheat sheet information that I have. I promise you, you will be all set. So don't get overwhelmed with measurements and numbers. Sometimes when you have to do fractions, it's overwhelming. Looking at the little marks on a ruler, it's like, what am I reading? Is this eighths? Is it quarters? I did the math for you here, and I'll post a picture of this on my blog. So you'll have all the key measurements and the formula how to use the tool, which really there is no big formula. It's not a big secret. What you do, the blanket rule for every mat you're going to do, as you reduce the size of your cardstock, for instance, you want to mat this smaller piece on top of this larger piece. So based on the section that you're going to use, you always multiply by 2. So that's all I did for you here. It's not a big secret. It's really self-explanatory. So if you are you want to put a 1/2 inch mat on something, you want to have a 1/2 inch showing all around the edge, kind of this width. You're going to reduce the upper layer that you're matting, the one you're putting onto something, by a 1/2 inch. Whatever your mat depth is, you multiply by 2. So all of that, I know it sounds confusing. It's one of those things, once you do it, you'll be like, oh, it's so easy. Why was I overwhelmed? So here's all of that, and I put the little key math here, and I showed everything you'll have to do. So this being said, let's pretend we're making a card. So this is it. I'm going to do A2. I got a lot of messages and questions on Facebook to do a 5x7 card. I'm going to save that for last because the A2 is a little more common. So I have my A2 card here, and you know it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now I chose the white, the black, and the orange so that'll be a good contrast in the camera for you, so you'll be able to get an idea. So I don't know about you guys. I very often on an A2 card, I just do very simple, basic 1/8 of an inch matting. So what you would do is to create your mats that you want to lay on here. What you'll do first is, you know the measurements of the card, and we're going to do an 1/8 of an inch mat. So now I measured and cut this to 4 by 5 1/4. I know that's a familiar measurement to all of you. 4 by 5 1/4 is what we all do all the time. So what you do is you work from the bottom up. Now I'm going to cut the next layer to 3 3/4 by 5. So what you do is you just put it in here. I'm fitting it into the notch. I don't know if you could see. There's a little notch here. And then pretend there's adhesive on here. I'm not doing adhesive because I want to have some ability to move things. Then you lay the top one, the next wider one above. If it was all glued together, this is what you get. A perfect mat all around the edge. Okay, I'll show you again. You put the smaller layer into the notch. This is the 1/8 of an inch. And then you put the larger layer. It's glued, and that's what you get. Okay? Now, this being said, these measurements won't work over here in this slot. Okay? Because this is different measurements. It's a larger mat. Here's what would happen. That's what you would get. Okay? So, there you have it. To do an 1/8 of an inch, you put the smaller piece first. You butt it up against this little channel here. You put the larger piece here. They would be glued together. Again, I'm not, whoops, I lost my grip. Let me just move it. I'm not gluing anything. But then look what happens. You have your card. Now you mat onto your card. And there you have your mat. Okay? So then if you still want to do another mat, what you can do is you now have these two layers. They were together. Okay, remember we just did this in the 1/8. So let's pretend these are glued together. All right, and so now you're going to put your next layer, which is reduced again in size, onto, whoops, put it here, and you get your layer again. I'm not gluing, so everything's shifting on me. But then you have your 3 layers. So this is just for your standard matting for 1/8 of an inch. Then I just wanted to show you, you can do a 1/2 inch mat. So you have, again, your card. Okay, now I always like to check before I do anything. I'm looking on the back. Here's my 1/2 inch quadrant. So I'm going to put that down. Here's the 1/2 inch mat. You can tell. If you don't trust yourself, measure it with your ruler. This ledge here is the for a 1/2 inch mat. So I've cut my card. My base mat, my main mat that's going to go onto the card, is measured at 4 by 5 1/4. Again, we all know that. That's very common with card making. The next layer is cut to 3 by 4 1/4. That's because I took off 1 inch to get a 1/2 inch on all sides. So now what I do is I fit my smaller layer there. I put the other layer on top. It's all, you can't even move it. It fits right in. I don't know if you could see here. There's a little channel. You can't go any further. You push it and it fits right in the corner. You put your next layer. Now let's pretend I have it glued again, adhesive. Pick it up. Perfect. Look at that. Perfect. All around, 1/2 inch. So now you have your 1/2 inch. You put it on your card. And there you go. So that's for the 1/2 inch. Then you have the 3/8 option. 3/8 is this portion. So let me turn the tool. This little border here is a 3/8 of an inch margin for matting. So if you're doing a 2-layer mat, you're going to have a nice 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So let's take the base card. Okay, here's the base card again. And I have my layers ready to go. Remember our famous layer with card making, we're always cutting 4 by 5 1/4. That's that nice base. I know some of you work right on the card, and you can do that. I don't work on a base card. I rarely stamp on a card, and I always do a matte layer first. So this is going to be your base layer. And what we want to layer on there is this. So we want to do a 3/8. So what we do is, this is your base. This was cut by the dimensions I told you. You'll reduce the cardstock. So now you put it in the 3/8. You put the larger one on top. Pretend it has adhesive. There you go. Perfect 3/8 all the way around. So while I have this one, which is a little larger, I just want to go over the math again. I know when you give numbers in a video and I'm talking, especially with my accent and I'm a fast talker, I know the New York accent, the fast talking is a lot to absorb. Plus now I'm giving you math and fractions. But here's the thing. The thing to remember when I said you'll always take the matte depth that you want to do, multiply it by 2. The reason you want to multiply by 2 is because, think about it, there's 2 sides. So if you had this margin of 3/8 and you didn't cut this down by twice that width, you're only going to have one side that's going to give you, and then you're going to split your mat. You need to have 3/8 on both sides. So if you need to have it on both sides, you needed to take it off of this on both sides. This has 3/8. The black is missing 3/8 on all sides. So that's why you times it by 2. Whatever your mat is, times 2, and that's how much you're going to cut off of the uppermost layer. So, but again, I know it's a lot of numbers in math, but here it all is. It's all on here. I'm going to give it to you. Once you have this, make a copy, put it on the wall in front of your work desk in your craft room. It's so easy. You look up, it's like done for you. You just look at it and cut, and you're all set. Okay, so then, same card. I've done the 3/8 of a mat. But now I decided, you know what? I want to add another layer. I have this done, but I realized I should have cut in the beginning. I want to do the little 1/8 again. I like that narrow border. So what you do is you cut the 1/8, but you shouldn't have assembled this yet. So you put this on top. Now you have your 1/8. There's your, look at that. Perfect every time. This tool is amazing and foolproof. Okay, so you have this one, and then you have that other 3/8 that you did. Now look at what you have. Now I have to tell you, you're kicking your cards up a notch. Now you're going to be looking like some kind of matting queen, because look what you have. All of a sudden, you're not limited anymore to just 2 layers. And these are so interchangeable. You can have a 3/8 with a 1/8. You can put a 1/2 inch out here and do another one. So it has 4 quadrants, but there's so many combinations that you can do. So this is just showing you a combination of using the 3/8 and the 1/8. So that's another card. Now, you'll have to bear with me because I am not a 5x7 card maker. I can't even tell you when I last made a 5x7 card. So look, you talk about cheat sheets that I'm giving you. This is what I need, because I'm so out of it when it comes to making a 5x7 card. All right, so bear with me. If I make a mistake, laugh with me. All right, 5x7 card. What I do know is if I want that nice little 1/8 border, I just need to reduce my first mat. So I've cut this. The measurement is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I just took off, because the card is 5x7. So I just took off a 1/4 inch. Okay, so that's how it's going to look eventually. But what I want to do is I want to do a 1/2 inch mat. I want to have a 1/2 inch all the way around so that this card eventually looks like this. Okay, this is for you 5x7 people. All right, it's not me. I'm not in the 5x7 group, but I want to explain it to you. So now this is what the look you're going for. So what you're going to do is you are going to now, here's the math. I'm going to do it real slow. You want to use, you check, I always check, look on the back, because you can get confused about these. Oh, ½ inch. Okay, this is the template to make a ½ inch mat. This measures a ½ inch. I'm going to check again, make sure that's the ½ inch. So if I made this black piece 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, that means if I want a half, remember I said multiply by 2. Twice times a ½ inch is 1 inch. So that means if this was 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, now the next layer up needs to be an inch smaller all around. So I'm going to reduce this next layer, that's the layer that's going on top, to measure 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Okay, and if you look, here's the math. You see, 4 3/4, an inch less is 3 3/4. 6 3/4, an inch less is 5 3/4. So this white piece was cut to 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Now, here's the ½ inch. I'm going to lay it in. I'm going to put the mat over it, pretending it's adhesive on there. There we go. Perfect ½ inch mat all the way around. So you've seen me do a few different cards, different widths, different mats. Here's the thing I have to tell you. You're going to get the numbers from me. You don't have to think this out. It's here, done. Oh, wait. You're going to get the numbers from me, right side up. You don't have to think. It will all be done for you. This is your reference for everything. The other thing you have to always remember, when you're building mat layers with this tool, you start from the smallest layer and you build up backwards. It's kind of like the whole Cuttlebug plate thing. You build your sandwich from the bottom up. This is similar. You can't make a mat this way. Where's your template? What are you fitting it against? There's nothing. You have to always put the smaller layer, the larger layer. Then when it's glued together, you get your layer. Okay? Here we are with this one. If I wanted to do this, what would happen if I put the small one? What am I doing? You have to fit it in the channel and lay it in the proper way. So you always start with laying down the smallest layer first. If you're doing 3 layers, you always put the smallest, the next one on top, the next one on top. And then that's how you get, of course I'm just doing this manually, rough eyeballing. That's how you will get your 3 layers. So you always put the smallest, the next one, and the next one. And then when you have it all glued together, okay? Now the other thing is, put your adhesive before. So let's pretend we're doing this one again, a ½ inch mat. What you do is you put your adhesive on the back side of your mat, fit it into the channel, and then it has adhesive. You don't need to put adhesive on the mat that's going on top because you have some here. You fit it in. Because there's adhesive on the white, when you pick it up from in the template, you're all set. I do want to bring up a special note. The other night, for all that this tool has served me perfectly well and my matting is now top-notch precision, I did have a situation. I was making those dog and cat sympathy cards that you saw on my blog, and I had the other night had a mat done, let's say. Let me get one out. Okay, let's say I had this mat completed. And now I'm ready to assemble it all on my card. I want to now lay this mat onto my card. So what I did was, I had the mat all set up, and I had my card scored and ready to roll. I thought, oh, well, this is great. I want to do that little 1/8 of an inch thing on there. I'll just put it in this template, and I'll put my card right on there. This is really awesome. I don't have to eyeball that. And I was picking them up one after the other. They were like this. They were like this. I was so frustrated. My little wastebasket next to my desk was filling up. I was ripping up cardstock, throwing things away. And then I realized, you know what? It's not the tool. I knew it wasn't the tool. It's me. It was what I was doing. I use very, very, very heavy cardstock on my cards. I don't use flimsy stuff. When it's scored and creased, it has bulk. You can't fit it up against the channel. It's too bulky and thick, and what was happening is the bulk of the score line was pushing it out a little and everything was just off a little bit. So I realized in that moment, if I want to do it, if I don't want to do a visual and put it myself and measure like this and try to get it right, I want to use the tool to get this perfect on here. What I have to always do is have the mat in position. Let me do it this way. And then the card has to be opened. You cannot do this with a crease card on here. The score line, the extra bulk of the score line is going to push this out from the template, and you're going to have wrong cards. I learned by error, and I'm passing that on to you. I know better now, so when I'm putting a mat, I open my scored card, I fit it up against there, and when I pick it up, it's perfectly centered on here. So the biggest message I have for everybody is this is an awesome tool. When my studio here was being built in the fall, this was in one of the last boxes I unpacked just recently. It was sitting by the side of my desk. I was like, ugh, I filled up the whole studio. I don't have a place for another thing. I opened the box. This was in there and a few other goodies. I put it by the side of my desk, and I just last week, I was like, 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to use that tool. And I have to tell you, I wish I had it 20 years ago. It is so amazing. It's so beautifully made, so sturdy. I don't anticipate ever having to replace it. It really is a quality thing, and it really works by itself. If you're a person who can get past the initial thing of adapting mentally to the math, you'll really never have to do much measuring at all. The other thing is you do have to be dedicated and conscientious with your cutting. If you're not going to cut accurately, you can't expect a precision tool to do a precision job. You have to do your part, and then the tool does the rest. So it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm so excited. I have nothing to gain here. I'm not affiliated with this company in any way. It's just a fluke that this whole thing took off, and there's so much commotion about the tool with my few postings and my blog and my video. But I get excited and I get happy when I find a tool or a product that's really, really awesome. I just, with my whole heart, I encourage you to buy this. So this being said, I was really fortunate. After the first video, I got this message from the inventor of this tool. Now, we had that issue with, I forgot what it was called. I didn't know, but it's Marsupial is the retailer, so we decided, someone said it was Marsupial. I thought it was kangaroo. I was in the same family, but that's not it. He told me that it's called the JIG, where the inventor calls it the JIG. It's sold by a company called Marsupial Papers with an S. So it is called the JIG. It's the marsupial layering tool, but it is called by the inventor the JIG. That's what it was invented as. I told him, why isn't he here at every expo and stamp show and convention? This is a tool that I think every card maker and scrapbooker would love, because you can mat your pictures for your layouts as well. So then I spoke to them and I said, would you be willing to give us, a discount code? There's so many ladies interested. They gave me a code. The code already was out online. Somebody else had the same code, but I'll tell it to you here anyway. It's layer, with no S, LAYER 10. We'll put it across the bottom of the screen for you, and I'll also put it on my blog. So everything I told you here, as far as the numbers, my little cheat sheet that I'm so proud of. I had to tell you, those of you who know me from online, I'm very OCD-ish with my stuff. Everything's got to be perfect, marked up. I mean, my studio here everything's labeled and precise and sorted. My hand was shaking when I had to write on this beautiful tool. This is so not like me. To me, this is like destructive graffiti on something. But it's key, and it's a cheat sheet, and I have it, and I'll never lose it. So I encourage you to get your white paint marker or a Sharpie. Do the same thing when you get yours. So now, you're going to go to marsupialpapers with an S.com. I'll post it on the blog. You're going to put layer number 10, LAYER, uppercase, number 10. You're going to get $10 off the cost of the Marsupial. They're out of stock right now. From what I understand, when I posted the first video, so many people bought it that they sold out. I have 2 personal friends here that ordered it, and they got this because they ordered it the minute I posted the video. But everyone else is telling me they're still out of stock. They didn't get it. So you may go to the website now and find it's still out of stock, but when it's in stock, or I don't know if you can do a back order, I didn't notice, just make sure you put the code in and you'll get the $10 off. You have to get this tool, everybody. Like I said, I have nothing to gain. I'm not affiliated with the company. I'm just an enthusiastic card maker who knows what it's like to find quality stuff that really works. There's a million tools out there we could buy. Then you get them home and selling it on Facebook somewhere at a resale group. This isn't one of them. You're going to love this tool. So you put this together with your Misty and some quality cardstock, and guess what? You're going to be knocking the cards out of the ballpark. You're going to be awesome. So the other thing is, on my blog this week, my birthday's this week, on the 25th, I had so many from my Stampin' Up! Celebrations order. These are my duplicate stamp sets, and I'm wanting to share them. So I picked one out and I put it on my blog, and I have just an extra that I had. I have duplicates. I'm just raffling it off this week, a little giveaway on my blog. So when you go there, if you post a comment and subscribe to my blog, you'll be in it to try to win the free stamp set. And that's it. I'm really happy to tell you about the Marsupial. I hope you guys that told me you're getting it, get it this weekend. And I really look forward to hearing your feedback and seeing your beautifully matted, perfection, precision matting on your cards. Okay, guys, thank you. It's great chatting with you, and I hope that you get the tool and enjoy it. Bye-bye.